Our Miami Marlins have an opportunity to win the World Series today. We've been chasing a title since episode 1 of the series. We have made it to episode 100. And most importantly, an opportunity to finally crown ourselves as champions. Today we've got Game 5 and only Game 5 of the World Series, being that this is an elimination game. It'll be the only game of today's episode. Last time around, we went through games 3 and 4 at home, and we ended up winning both of them in, as you can see by the scores, very different fashion. That starts with game 3, which we took by the score of 4-3. Both offenses really had it going towards the middle of this game, but other than that, wasn't a whole lot at the plate either way. Only 13 combined hits, other than a 3-run blast in the 6th inning by Byron Buxton. The Twins did not have a lot going for them. Luis Severino had a great game, and the bullpen was fantastic. Game 4 was the complete opposite. 26 combined runs, that's the second most in a World Series game ever. 37 combined hits. It was offense, offense, offense. From the 3rd inning until the end of this game, both lineups went berserk. We had 4 homers, we had a bunch of guys driving runs, and it wasn't our whole pitching staff who performed poorly. A lot of guys actually played really well, and then a lot of other pitchers obviously, well, not so much. So that brings us here to Game 5 at home, our last home game of the year no matter what, and an opportunity to win a championship in front of our fans. The offense has been inconsistent throughout the playoffs, but we're coming off a 15-run performance in Game 4, looking to carry the momentum. On the mound today, we've got our former MVP and back-to-back Cy Young winner, Edward Cabrera. Man, would it be poetic for him to be the guy who pitches in the game that finally wins us the championship, as he's been our best player throughout really this entire franchise series. After an inconsistent first postseason start of the year, he's been on fire, winning 4 in a row. He leads all pitchers in terms of postseason pitching WAR, the only guy to have a postseason WAR above 1 amongst all pitchers. He'll face off against Minnesota's ace, Brady Sr., whose stats in the playoffs are very similar to that of Edward Cabrera. Both of these guys pitched against each other in Game 1 of the World Series in Minnesota, a game that, of course, we ended up winning, and we're hoping for a similar result here today. Let's not waste any more time, and let's get this show on the road. Game 5 of the World Series, and an opportunity for our Miami Marlins to win our first championship in a quarter century. The good news is, if we lose this game, there's always games 6 and 7, but I would love to win it today. Probably the last time we're going to have Edward Cabrera available this season, and definitely the last home game. It would be so amazing to be able to win the championship in front of these great fans. Our Miami Marlins have been very close to winning a championship over the last few years. In Season 4, making it to the NLCS, losing in Game 7 to the Phillies. Last year, we got to the World Series. We took it to 7, but ultimately, we lost to the Tampa Bay Rays in heartbreaking fashion right at the end. This year, we look to finally get over the hump and win our first championship of this series, and we look to do so in 5 against a very talented Minnesota Twins team with none other than Edward Cabrera getting the start. The Marlins are rocking the throwback jerseys today, the Florida Marlin jerseys. Of course, the Marlins have never won a championship, being the Miami Marlins, since this team's last championship was 25 years ago when they were just the Florida Marlins. Let's take a look at both lineups. Regular starters for the Marlins. The Twins will not have Alex Kirilloff available. He got injured in Game 4. Connor Hollis will bat 5th and play first base instead of him. Here is Edward Cabrera, the 29-year-old righty hailing from the Dominican Republic. He's been unbelievable for us over the last few years, and now he finally looks to add a championship to his potential Hall of Fame resume. He's won his last 4 postseason starts, including multiple elimination games, along with Game 1 of the World Series. He strikes out the top of the order, Kenny Felsch, who goes down on the outside slider. Good start for Cabrera, who's at pretty much full energy. He should be a full go today. Luis Gonzalez hits it sharply into right. De La Cruz is under it for the second out of the inning. That'll bring us to Carlos Correa, who's the Twins' best player. AL MVP. He's been fantastic all year long, and he goes down looking on the sinker. Edward Cabrera retires the side, striking out 2. Off to a good start here in the first inning. The Twins, coming off a game where they scored 11 runs, are going to have a lot of challenges offensively in comparison to the last game. And the same can be said for the Marlins. There's no way we're scoring 15 again, and that's because Brady Sr. is on the bump for the Twins. Sr. had a breakout season this year for Minnesota. He finished in second place for the AL Cy Young, and he's been really solid in 4 postseason starts, sitting at a record of 2-1. Kevin Alcantara leads things off, and he swings and misses at the slider. He was a little bit ahead of that one for the first out of the inning. That'll bring us to Jazz Chisholm, one of the faces of this team since the very start. Up the middle, base hit. The first base runner for either teams is aboard, and Jazz Chisholm, being probably Miami's fastest base runner, will hopefully be able to score and get the Marlins in a good spot to really set the tone here in Game 5. That'll bring up Isaac Stu. Broken bat on the ground. Senior scoops it to short for 1, to first for 2. It's a 1-6-3 double play, headlined by a really nice snag at the mound by Brady Sr. Top 2. Byron Buxton checks his swing, and he went around. Would have been a walk, but now the count is full at 3-2. Cabrera looking to make sure this pitch stays in the strike zone for Buxton, and I think he wishes that the last pitch would have just been a walk. Buxton into left. That one's gone! Solo home run, and the Minnesota Twins are on the board first. They lead at 1-0. Buxton with his second home run of the postseason, second of the World Series, and the Twins are on top 1-0. Byron Buxton has struggled for most of the postseason, but he has turned it on here in the World Series, and he's been one of Minnesota's best players in this World Series. Connor Hollis goes down looking on the fastball. Nice pitch there by Cabrera. His third strikeout of the game, looking to rebound after allowing the early long ball. Brendan Rodgers hits it sharply into right. It makes it to the warning track, but Brian De La Cruz is there to come down with it for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up the young catcher, hailing from Great Britain, Chase Gentry. Rips it up the middle. That'll go for a base hit. And Minnesota's got another runner aboard here with 2 away. If they can get a big hit here and look to add to this lead, that would be an extremely strong start for the Twins. It's Jose Miranda who strikes out on the sinker. Nice pitch by Cabrera, but he does allow a solo home run at the top of the inning to Byron Buxton, and the Twins lead at 1-0. Bottom 2, Woody Landry swings and misses on the circle change. If the Marlins win tonight, I have to imagine Woody Landry would be the favorite to win the postseason MVP. He leads all players across Major League Baseball with 7 postseason home runs as Jesus Sanchez gets that one to drop for a hit. Sanchez hasn't played all that well in the World Series. Good to see him getting a base hit here. And the Marlins get a runner aboard here with 1 away. The last time they got a base hit, they grounded into a double play. And I guess they won't get the same result considering there's now 2 outs off of the strikeout from Brian De La Cruz. Big opportunity now for the catcher, MJ Melendez, who's been fantastic across the World Series. He rips it up the middle, and that'll go for a base hit. So Melendez is now aboard, 2 on, 2 out. That slider was inside the strike zone, but Melendez still gets it to drop. That'll bring up Jacob Berry. Another pitch out of the zone, swings and lines it to short as it's caught by Correa. The Marlins leave 2 runners aboard and are unable to drive either of them in, as the Twins hold on to their 1-0 lead and we move into the third. Brooks Lee, the switch-hitting third baseman, rips it up the middle for a base hit. And the Twins' offense is hitting the ball pretty well, all things considered, to start this game, making it through 1 right down the order. They've already got 3 hits. Kenny Felsch grounds it to third. Berry to Watson to Landry. A giant 5-4-3 double play. Hopefully that'll give Cabrera and this defense some momentum, because Edward Cabrera really hasn't looked like himself so far. Now against Luis Gonzalez. Hits it into center. Alcantara is under it, and he will make the play. Solid inning for Cabrera. He does allow a base hit, but that batter would soon be out off of the double play. Nobody left on. Remains 1-0. Bottom 3, Khalil Watson hits this one high and deep into right center. It's got some carry at the track, at the wall. It's caught. Khalil Watson was pretty good for most of the playoffs, but has not looked all that good during the World Series. That'll bring us back to the top of the order. Kevin Alcantara into right field. That'll go for a base knock. I think Alcantara has been the Marlins' most consistent player throughout the duration of the postseason as he continues to hit the ball at a high level. Jazz Chisholm skies this one high and deep and a right. At the track, at the wall, it's caught. Another very close call. I thought that one had enough, but it kind of died out at the end as that'll go for the second out of the inning. Full count now, 2 away for Isaac Stu. Rips it down the line to third, and it's caught by Brooks Lee. A great snag by Brooks Lee at the hot corner as it remains 1-0 through 3. Both pitchers have allowed a handful of base runners and haven't looked great, but they've both been solid, and they've each been able to get out of some jams, especially Brady Singer. Carlos Correa goes down looking. Second time he has struck out today. That'll bring up Byron Buxton. The only source of runs today, he homered in his first at-bat. Sends this one into the right center gap. It will one-hop off the wall, and Buxton makes it to second with a double. The Twins get a runner in scoring position, one of their fastest runners at that, and a great opportunity to add to their lead. That'll bring up Connor Hollis. Down the line, Woody Landry makes the play, scoops the base. Buxton makes it to third, but now they're going to need a base hit from Brendan Rodgers to drive him in. Full count. Rodgers into right. That's going to drop. Buxton scores for the second time today. Rodgers makes it to second safely with a double, and the Twins lead it 2-0. Big swing for Brendan Rodgers to drive in a run. Gentry looks to do the same, but he will line out to right. It's caught by De La Cruz. Minnesota adds to their lead, though. An RBI double from Brendan Rodgers, scoring Byron Buxton, who has scored both runs today, and the Twins lead 2-0. Miami's offense has got to get some runs soon, right? Woody Landry draws a walk. That's a good start. Just got to keep stacking some base runners together, as that'll now bring up Jesus Sanchez, and he hits this one high and deep into left center. At the track, at the wall. It bounces off the top of the fence and over for a home run, and we're tied at 2. Jesus Sanchez with his second home run of the postseason, and with one swing of the bat, this game has been flipped on its side, and we're tied. Hey, that rhymed. I didn't even try to rhyme it, but it works. Jesus Sanchez hasn't hit for great power here in October. Again, just his second home run of the postseason, but he steps up in the biggest moments, and he's done that throughout his entire playoff career. And here he is in an Elimination World Series game already with 2 hits and a dinger. Brian De La Cruz down the line. Lee, what a play. Throw to first is in time. An incredible snag by Brooks Lee, looking to get some of the momentum back for Minnesota after allowing the homer. MJ Melendez now skies this one in to left. I don't think that one has enough carry. It makes it near the wall, but it will be caught for the second out of the frame by Kenny Felsch. That'll bring us to the 8th hitter, Jacob Berry, who has been money throughout the entire World Series. He's coming off a great Game 4. And Berry checks his swing. Umpire says he went around on the low circle change. He went to swing for that pitch. He then realized it was going to be low, but before he makes his mind up, he was already halfway around the plate. Good inning, though. The Marlins tie it with the homer by Sanchez as we move into the 5th. Chisholm blocks this grounder from Miranda. Throw to first is offline. Doesn't matter. He was safe anyway. And the Twins start the inning with an infield single as they continue to get hits off of Cabrera. Brooks Lee goes down looking. He's been great defensively tonight, but that time he does not get lucky with the call. Kenny Felsch now strikes out on the outside fastball. A great pitch by Cabrera, his 7th strikeout of the night. Now against Luis Gonzalez, his 102nd pitch of the game, and Gonzalez strikes out. 5 innings of 2-run ball for Edward Cabrera. The pitch count is getting high, and he hasn't necessarily lit the world on fire, but I think the Marlins are going to hope for at least one more inning out of him. Bottom 5, Khalil Watson grounds it to second. Play is made by Brendan Rodgers for the first out of the inning. That'll bring us back to the top of the order. Kevin Alcantara had a base hit in his last at-bat, looking for another one as it's a grounder to third. Lee deflects it. Throw to first, not in time. It's an infield single for Kevin Alcantara, his second hit of the ball game, and Miami has another runner on base and an opportunity to take their first lead of the game. Jazz Chisholm now, the 1-2. Lines this one into right, and it is caught. He was like jumping out of his shoes. swinging that ball. I don't know how he hit it so hard, but he did. 96 off the bat. Isaac Stu now, 3-1. That pitch is low, and will go for a walk. 2 on, 2 away. Big opportunity for Woody Landry. Easily the biggest at bat at this game so far, and a real opportunity to give the Marlins momentum as we enter the second half of this game. Woody's already ahead in the count, 2-1, as the slider is well outside. He completely mislocated that pitch, and now Woody's ahead at 3-1. He really shouldn't swing unless it's something good, as he fouls off the low slider. That would have gone for a walk, but Woody wanted to be aggressive, and now the count is full. Wouldn't be surprised if this is the last at-bat for Senior, no matter what, whether Landry is out or not, as everybody's going, and Woody Landry again fouls this off down the third base line. Woody's making him battle here. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat, and Senior's 101st of the night. Landry skies it into center. It's got some carry, but I don't think that's going to be enough. It'll be caught by Byron Buxton, and Minnesota gets through the 5th. It wasn't always pretty, but they don't allow any runs. Through 5, we are tied at 2 in what has been a really exciting game so far, moving into the 6th. Edward Cabrera will stay in the game for the Marlins. Full count for Correa. Swing and a miss! That's a hat trick. Carlos Correa is 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Not his day. Byron Buxton looking for a hat trick of his own. He's 2 for 2 in terms of hits, but he won't get his 3rd here. He pops it up into center, and Kevin Alcantara will make the play for the 2nd out of the inning. Could this be the final inning that Edward Cabrera pitches today? He's starting to run out of gas. This very well could be his last at bat. It's Connor Hollis, the 3-2. Checked his swing. Pitch was in the zone anyway. 10 Ks. 2 runs allowed here in 6 innings for Edward Cabrera. His pitch count is awfully high. It's close to 120. He's starting to run out of gas. I would expect this will be it for him. Another very strong start for the ace. Minnesota will also go to their bullpen, so it looks like both teams are going to go to the pen the rest of the way. Giovanni Moran is in for the Twins. He's only allowed 2 runs in 10 postseason innings so far. He's got to face off against Jesus Sanchez, who's been really good today, 2 for 2, as he draws a walk. Sanchez reaches base yet again. Of course, had the 2-run homer in his last at-bat, and the Marlins haven't scored since. Looking to change that here. Brian De La Cruz hits this ball high and deep and a right. At the track, at the wall, it's caught! An incredible grab, scaling up the wall to make the catch. Oh my goodness, what a play by Luis Gonzalez. That'll bring up MJ Melendez now, lefty on lefty. Melendez, sharp liner in the right. At the track, at the wall, it's gone! The Marlins take their first lead of the night. 2-run homer for the catcher, MJ Melendez. His 3rd of the postseason, his 2nd of the World Series. And the Marlins are on top 4-2. The Twins brought Moran in the game because he does not allow homers. One of the best relievers in baseball in terms of keeping the ball in the park. But MJ Melendez hit that ball so hard that it has enough to get over the fence. I have to imagine it had a pretty low launch angle, but an exit velo of 102, that'll get the job done. What a play for MJ Melendez, and the Marlins lead it 4-2. That'll bring up Jacob Berry. He strikes out on the fastball. Coming off a great Game 4, Berry has certainly regressed to the mean today. Luis Rengifo comes off the bench as a pinch hitter for Watson, looking to take advantage of the pitching matchup, and Moran seems scared to throw to him, and I don't blame him, as Rengifo draws a walk. Kevin Alcantara is up now, full count. Alcantara rips this one into the gap. It'll one-hop off the wall. Rengifo on his high horse, rounds 3rd, heads home. The throw from the cutoff man, it's going to be close. He's safe. It's an RBI double for Kevin Alcantara. And the Marlins add to their lead as it's now 5-2. Moran yanked out of the game. He'll be replaced by another lefty, Nino Cabral, who has been a lot worse than Moran throughout the postseason. He's allowed 8 runs in 8 1/3 innings. They'll face off against Jazz Chisholm, lefty-on-lefty crime. Chisholm, one of the best clutch hitters in baseball, though, as he puts this one on the ground. Play should be made by Rogers, and it will. Big inning, though, for the Marlins as they get 3. Featured from a 2-run homer by MJ Melendez and an RBI double by Kevin Alcantara. Despite the offensive execution, if you will, the Marlins are not going to change plans in terms of pitching. They're going to take Edward Cabrera out of the game, but they wanted to give him a nice curtain call, being that this will certainly be his last game at home this year, and likely his last game period of this season. Whether we win the game or not, I can't imagine Cabrera would be able to pitch in games 6 and 7 if the Twins are going to be able to come back. They're going to need to do it against the back-end bullpen of death. Duvall in the 7th, Duran in the 8th, and Clase in the 9th if all goes well. We'll start with Camilo Duvall. He's only allowed 1 run here in the postseason in around 12 innings as he strikes out Brendan Rodgers on the sinker. Good start. 8 outs away. Gentry down the line. This one could go for extra bases as he looks to make it to second. De La Cruz gets to it quickly, but Chase Gentry is safe at second base with a double, and the Twins have a runner in scoring position. If they can drive Gentry in, they can absolutely bring themselves back into the game. Jose Miranda rips it into center for a single. Gentry looks to score. The throw from Alcantara. It's going to be close. He's out of there! Kevin Alcantara guns him down from center field. It is such an asset having so many outfielders with such great arms. The offense is going to keep on coming, though, for Minnesota. Brooks Lee sends it in the corner for a double. Runner holds up at third. So now there's 2 runners in scoring position. The tying run is at the plate. Camilo Duvall is allowed 3 consecutive base hits. He doesn't really look like himself. So we're going to yank him now for the former Minnesota Twin, Johan Duran. He's allowed 3 runs in just under 10 postseason innings. Hasn't been as good as Duvall, but he's still been very solid with one of the most important at-bats of the game. It's Kenny Felsch, the leadoff man, with a dribbler to short. Chisholm, throw to first, is in time as Woody has to do the splits to come down with it. And the Marlins are now 6 outs away from winning the World Series. That was an awfully stressful inning. I have no clue how Minnesota did not get anybody in. A wasted opportunity by the Twins as it remains 5-2. Houston Webster comes into the game for the Twins, the former Marlins prospect who's been very solid in the postseason, coming off a great rookie year. Isaac Stu leads things off, 3-2. Swing and a miss on the fastball. Good pitch there by Webster, striking out his former minor league teammate. That'll bring up Woody Landry. He's 0 for 2 with a walk today as Landry pops it into left. It's going to be a tough play, and Felsch cannot make the grab. That ball is going to keep on rolling. Woody Landry, let's keep it moving, big fella. He's looking for third. He's safe with a triple. What a play by Woody Landry. He's awfully fast for a big first baseman, lumbering his way around the bases, and a disastrous play in left field by Kenny Felsch. I get that's a really hard catch to make, but that ball took a very unlucky bounce, and Woody is safe at third with a triple. So now the Marlins have another runner 90 feet away from home. Sanchez pops it into left, and it'll be caught by Correa. First time all night, Sanchez has been out. That'll bring us to Brian De La Cruz. He seems to make big plays in big games. Hasn't yet tonight, until now! Rips it into left! Flips the bat! That one is gone! And the Marlins lead it 7-2. De La Cruz with his 4th home run of the postseason. Brian De La Cruz in his playoff career has been very inconsistent. But in the biggest of games, he always shows up. In all 3 Game 7s that we have played in this franchise series, he's homered. Here in Game 5 of the World Series, he homers. When you need somebody to make a big play in a big game, Brian De La Cruz is at the top of the list of guys you want. That ball did not scrape over the fence like the other Marlins homers today. That was a piss missile. 425 feet. And now Melendez looks to possibly send this one over the fence. But it does not have enough carry as it's caught by Buxton. Good inning, though. The Marlins add 2 more runs with a bomb by Brian De La Cruz. And Miami's in a really good spot. They can just taste it. Up by 5 with 2 innings to go. There's no way we blow this, right? right? Valentine's Day is coming up. Are you a huge lead? Because hopefully the Marlins don't want to blow you. Luis Gonzalez rips it into right, and it curves foul at the last second. That ball was a foot away from being a homer. Duran and the Marlins just dodged a bullet. Instead, he grounds it past the diving glove of Woody Landry, and still will be a base hit. The Twins got to stack base runners, just as they did in the last inning, but they got to score some of these guys. Correa puts the ball in play for the first time all night, and he hits it well, especially considering that pitch was super inside, but it's caught by Alcantara, and the Marlins are now 5 outs away from winning their first World Series in a quarter century. Now it's Buxton, who's had a great game today. Strikes out on the slider. 4 outs away from becoming world champions. That'll bring us to Connor Hollis, who hasn't started a game for the Twins all postseason until tonight. Rips it into left. Goes off the wall. Run looks to score. And after getting 7 unanswered runs, the Marlins are finally answered. It's an RBI double for Connor Hollis, and it's now 7-3. That'll bring up Brendan Rodgers, who pops this one into shallow right, and it will be caught by Sanchez. I don't know why Luis Rengifo just stopped. Maybe Sanchez called him off, but I don't get what they were doing there. Doesn't really matter, though. The Marlins get the out, and they're 3 outs away from winning the World Series. Let's see if they can add some runs, though. It'll be Dennis Santana on the mound for the Twins. He's allowed 4 runs in 2 postseason innings, and he knows he cannot allow any more. Minnesota's already going to need at least 4 in the next inning. James Wood is up. He is a pinch hitter for Berry. Grounded up the middle. Correa makes the play for the first out of the inning. That'll bring us to Luis Rengifo, the switch-hitting second baseman. One of a handful of free agents for this team in the offseason, as it's ripped up the middle. What a play by Rodgers, but the throw is offline. That ball went 112 off the bat of Rengifo. It'll be ruled as an error for Rodgers. That was a great defensive play. I don't think you can entirely blame him, but, you're not going to call that an error on the first baseman, so I guess I get it. Kevin Alcantara draws a walk. The Marlins now have 2 runners on base, and they're really looking to add some more runs. The Twins will go back to the bullpen. They're just trying to throw anything at the wall and hope it sticks, and, can you blame them? It's Craig Corbett who comes into the game as Jazz Chisholm strikes out on the fastball, clocking in at 94. That'll bring us to Isaac Stewart, the big homer in Game 7 of the World Series last year in the bottom of the 8th inning. And history does not repeat itself. He goes down looking on the outside fastball. That pitch was not a strike, but it will not matter if the Twins do not get at least 4 runs here in the top of the 9th inning. The Marlins are 3 outs away from winning the World Series, and it will be Emmanuel Clase in to finish off the game, hopefully. It's not a save opportunity, being that the Marlins are up by 4. Clase has not been good really at all throughout the postseason, but he has not had any hiccups in the World Series. Since this is potentially the World Series deciding inning, we will show the entire thing. Hopefully the inning is not too long, otherwise that would imply that Minnesota got some runs. 7, 8, 9 hitters due up. That starts with Chase Gentry, who's ahead 3-1, and he draws a walk, looking at the outside slider. Not a bad start for Minnesota. All they've got to do is get some base runners. That'll bring up Jose Miranda, who's been really solid throughout the World Series. He's 2 for 3 today with a pair of base hits. Runner on base, got to watch out for this ball going on the ground. That's exactly what happens. Boom! To Rengifo, to Landry! Double play! And the Marlins are 1 out away from winning the World Series as they turn 2. Good scoop there at third by Bohm, who checks into the game as a defensive substitution, replacing James Wood. And it all comes down to this. It's Brooks Lee looking to save this season for the Twins. The 1-1 pitch. It's a grounder to first. Woody Landry picks it up. Tags the base. It's over! The Miami Marlins have won it all for the first time since 2003. We have been working towards this since episode 1. Here we are at episode 100. And the Marlins have finally done it. They win their 3rd World Series championship in franchise history. What a ride it has been with this team. Since the very start of this series, we dealt with our fair share of ups and downs with this team. We made it to the World Series last year. We were a game away from winning it. And we should have won that game had we not blown such a big lead. But we get back this year despite losing a ton of key veterans in free agency to get the job done and put ourselves back atop the baseball world. Here are some reactions. Starting with Jesus Sanchez, who was our best player today, one of the longest tenured players on the roster. Kevin Alcantara just faints. He's been our most consistent player in the month of October. Manager Skip Shoemaker looks to hold the trophy, and there you go. The Marlins are world champions of 2028, bringing their third World Series title to South Beach. Miami is, in fact, a baseball town, and right now this place is on cloud 9. What a game, what a series, what a win. Got to give credit to the Minnesota Twins. They gave us one hell of a fight this series. Everybody on their team got hits today except for their two best players, Kenny Felsch and Carlos Correa, who went 0-for-8 with 5 strikeouts. Correa with 3 of them. Minnesota's offense had their good moments and bad moments throughout this series, but I will say you should expect to win scoring 11 runs. And Minnesota did get an 11-run game, and obviously, well, they didn't win it. Solid start from Brady Sr. It was really the bullpen that lost this game. Moran and Webster. Our offense started off a little bit slow. We trailed 2-0, but the Marlins really seemed to be at their best in the middle of the game. Really the 6th and 7th innings in particular, where we got 5 of our runs. I mean, we scored 11 runs through innings 6 and 7 of Game 4. Overall, the offense was really solid today. Homers for Sanchez, De La Cruz, and the biggest of which, in my opinion, by MJ Melendez to give us the lead. Solid start from Edward Cabrera. For his standards, nothing all that crazy. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, striking out 10. Bullpen did a good job to shut the door. And there you have it. The Miami Marlins are world champions. It took us 100 episodes, but we finally have done it. Let's take a look at the playoff and World Series MVP. As the postseason MVP will be Woody Landry. No major surprise. The very first draft pick we made in this series, followed by Brian De La Cruz and Kevin Alcantara. And then MJ Melendez wins the World Series MVP. I think that's the right pick. I think he was our best player throughout the World Series. He had, in my opinion, the biggest play of the series with the homer today. And he made himself a lot of money, being that he's a free agent at the end of the year. What a ride it's been with this team. What a fun core we have built with the Miami Marlins. And obviously, we're going to enjoy this victory and this championship because they're very hard to come by, as we know all too well. But the question now becomes, what's next? The series is not over. This is not the last episode. I think there's a little bit more to do with this team before MLB The Show 24 comes out. So my initial plan was that I was going to do one more season, season 7, regardless of the result today, and then go to the long-term sim. And I think I would like to do that, but I would also like to hear some opinions from you guys as well in the comments. MLB The Show announced their launch date for 24, and it's a lot earlier than normal. I think the release date this year is March 19th. They haven't announced, like, the early access version yet, but I would have to imagine that comes out March 15th, which is presumably when I would get my hands on the game and look to start my next series in MLB The Show 24. That's only a month and a half away, and I would like to give myself a little bit of time after this series before 24 comes out, maybe like 2 weeks or so. So ideally, I would like to have this series wrapped up by the start of March. So I do want to run another season in some way. I am considering a couple of options. We could have a super quick season 7, like we go through the offseason, we go through the regular season in like 1 or 2 episodes, and then we go through the playoffs pretty quickly. Another option is that we do a couple more seasons, but we dedicate like 1 episode to 1 full season, like we do an off season, a regular season, and a playoff run. I feel like that might be too much for 1 episode, but we could technically get through like 2 or 3 more seasons that way before going to the long-term sim. And if you guys have any other better ideas, I'm absolutely willing to hear them out in the comments below. And also, feel free to share some teams that you would like for me to consider for MLB The Show 24. Earlier this week, I took my first look at a handful of rosters and teams that I want to start thinking about for MLB The Show 24. So, in other words, I'm beginning to think about teams for next year's game, and I'm willing to hear who you guys would like to see us rock with, and eventually, within the next probably 2 or so weeks, we're going to begin the voting process as we look to narrow it down for the final YouTube poll. And then, of course, we'll reveal the team and start the series. Hope everybody enjoyed the episode. What a fun team this has been. And I'm really excited to wrap up this series over the next month in the best way possible. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.